Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grooving and Giving in Early Retirement. I am Radhika, and thank you so much for spending your time with me today. This channel is where we talk about living our best life in retirement or early retirement, giving back to our local and global communities, and the glue that holds it all together, financial freedom. It sure makes it easier. I left my 23-year-long career during the pandemic to focus on my passion project, my NGO that I founded in 2012 called A Childhood for Children, where we provide essential items to children in underserved communities. I will put a link in the description below. Please check us out. There's also a video about the backstory on how I founded this organization. I'll put that link as well. In today's video, I'd like to talk about giving back or paying it forward in early retirement. I'd like to share my journey and tell you things that I wish I had done differently. I didn't quite get it right, so I'm hoping that my mistakes might help somebody else. So let's get started. Since I left my career, I decided to take on some small consulting projects. I also have been volunteering a great deal, and of course, a good part of my time goes to the operations of my not-for-profit, A Childhood for Children. Now, I am not in any way suggesting that everybody should set up a not-for-profit. No, I'm not suggesting that. But we know that you have so much to offer and so much to give back. And just because you leave your job doesn't mean you lose all your skills, right? Here are my 4 tips. Please take them with a grain of salt. Tip number 1, have an exit strategy. Have a plan of what you're going to do when you have all this free time and how you can use some of that free time to pay it forward. There are so many organizations that need your help, and it would be just great for you to spend some of your time giving back. Now, have a plan in place. What are you going to do? Are you going to have, let's say, a smaller job, a consulting role, spend a lot of time with family? Whatever your plan is that works for you is great. What you don't want to find yourself with is a lot of time. Keep in mind that a lot of your family might be working, so there are times that you'll have extra time to yourself, and what are you going to do? So have that plan, and my recommendation would be to set up that exit strategy and plan 1 to 2 years before you intend to retire from your job. Now, as I said, I founded A Childhood for Children in 2012. Long before I was going to retire, but that was my exit strategy, and I knew that that was where I was going to put all my energy into when I no longer had a job that took 60 to 70 hours of my time every week. So that strategy worked out really well for me, but I felt like there was more time I had and I could do more to give back in other areas, particularly offering up my professional skills. Just as a sidebar, my professional skills are that I'm a CPA in the US. My background is tax. For the last 23 years, I focused on tax and mainly tax planning. So I was sort of at that crossroads of numbers and law. And I felt like that was a good skill set that I could offer up to companies and sit on their board and offer my professional skills. That was my idea. So tip number 2 is, if that's something you want to do, know that there is a process to doing that. This is a mistake I made. I thought I could start the process after I retired. Wrong. So I realized that to sit on the boards of companies where you get paid for your services, you need to have some background of where you've been serving on boards, like not-for-profits or universities or other type of boards. I started that process a little late, and I therefore was not successful in finding a paid board position. There were a couple of reasons, actually. One was the fact that sometimes I would run into a conflict of interest if I was trying to serve on the board of another not-for-profit, particularly if it had anything to do with children. The other thing I made a mistake about was not setting up the community or network before I got to that stage. So my tip number 2 is set up the community, the framework, the network, the support system, whatever you want to call it, prior to your getting to the time where you want to do something. So in my case, I wanted to serve on corporate boards as a paying gig. And in order to do that, there were a few things I needed to do prior to getting to that stage. And I did not spend time setting up that network. So that's my tip. Now, there are organizations, companies that'll help you get positions on boards. I did subscribe to one of them. It was about $2,000 for 2 years. I wasn't all that successful in getting a board position, although I did secure a strategic advisor position with a brand new university in Ohio. Now, one of the other things I would say, tip number 3 that I've gotten from other early retirees is be flexible. Pivot when you have to. If this isn't working, do something else. If that isn't working, do something else, but be flexible. So one of the things after being a strategic advisor I learned is that I don't like just meeting every 3 months. I like to be in the thick of things. I like where the action is. So I realized just meeting every 3 months to go over information, that's really not what I was enjoying. Also, just as a sidebar, if you are thinking about serving on boards, please make sure that the board has good governance. Make sure you're involved. Make sure you ask questions. Those are your duties as board of directors: duty of care, duty of loyalty, duty of due diligence. And as I always say, know your numbers. Knowing your numbers is one of the best things you can do for yourself serving on a board of directors. So tip number 1, have an exit strategy, have a plan. Tip number 2, build your community, framework, network prior to getting to when you want to do something. Do it at least a year in advance before you leave your job. Tip number 3, be flexible. You might think you know something, how things work, and realize you don't like it, you don't enjoy it, and that's okay. So choose what's best for you. Tip number 4. If you have skills, professional skills that you think can help other organizations, there are organizations that provide services to not-for-profits. So I Googled and I found an organization called Executive Services Corps here in Florida, but they have branches in the US that could use my professional services. And so I became a volunteer/consultant with them. And I've done discrete projects helping other not-for-profits in Florida with meeting their needs. And while it wasn't exactly in the area of tax, it was still services they needed, and I was able to help them out. And it's a really great feeling using your professional skills to help organizations that really need the help and don't have big budgets to go out and hire consultants to help them with this. So check that out. I highly recommend if you're in the US, Executive Services Corps, but certainly you can find other organizations in your neck of the woods. The last tip I have is don't give up on your dreams. Just because that dream can't happen in that moment doesn't mean it's not going to happen later on. So my dream was to always volunteer with the United States Peace Corps. I like the organization. I love their mission. But to be a Peace Corps volunteer, you needed to give up 2 years of your life, right? To go somewhere and volunteer in a foreign country. Well, as I've mentioned, I have my own not-for-profit, and I'm the chief everything officer, so I couldn't be gone for 2 years. I have commitments to the children here in the US and to the organizations around the world with whom we collaborate. So I couldn't be gone for 2 years. Well, I never gave up on that dream. And during the pandemic, the Peace Corps started this program called Virtual Service Pilot Participation, where you could be a virtual service provider and not leave your home and yet offer your services to an organization globally. So I applied for this program and I was accepted. And last year, September 2024, I started my service as a virtual service pilot participant. You have to be very clear on that. You're not a volunteer. I provided my services to an organization in North Macedonia called Zip Institute, a really great organization. I worked with the people there. And of course, technology is great. I got on Zoom. I was online on my phone. I touched base with them regularly. I got my assignments, I worked on them, and provided all the feedback to my counterpart in North Macedonia. You don't have to give up your dream just because. For me, I really had a great time as a VSPP. And by the way, there's a profile about my service, and I'll put the link to that article below as well. If you're interested, look them up. It was absolutely really great, very flexible, worked around my personal schedule. Now, obviously, if you're going to, let's say, be a teacher or volunteer as a teacher and educate children in the Philippines, obviously the time difference and the children only go to school between X time and Y time, it will matter. But the type of services I was providing, it was very flexible and I really enjoyed my service. And I certainly am looking for my next role as a VSPP. Look, as I mentioned, just because you've early retired or retired doesn't mean you lose your skills overnight. You have a lot to offer, and there are organizations that are looking for you. They're looking for a few good people. So please consider paying it forward in early retirement or retirement. Of course, find the thing that you're passionate about that matches your skills. You have a lot to offer, and organizations need your help. Thank you so much for your time. I am Radhika. This is Grooving and Giving in Early Retirement or Retirement, where we talk about living our best life in retirement, giving back to our local and global communities, and the glue that holds it all together, financial freedom. And folks, the grass is greener on this side. Anyway, thank you so much.